Stupid liars on paternity court.
Wait, hold on now. Come on out, you're getting a whole nother little attitude.
What you mean, how do you know that? You don't know that.
That's my baby or not.
Them looks just
What
like.
is the purpose?
How many men were you sleeping with when you conceived your child?
Mr. Hodges and his mom believe that the defendant, Ms. Willard, is a liar and a cheater. Mr. Hodges doesn't believe he fathered her 1-month-old child and thinks that it's merely a fat ruse to get him to provide for 1-month-old Lillian Willard. Ms. Willard is also in court with her mother, and they both think they'll prove that Mr. Hodges is indeed Ms. Willard's baby daddy.
Cheated on me, and I caught her with multiple guys. She had one hidden in the room, and whenever we first got together, she said that she would never hurt me or cheat on me. She would be truthful, and yet she's lied to me left and right.
Miss Willard, you kept lying and you kept cheating?
No, I did not.
Ms. Willard met Mr. Hodges through a family friend of his. She'd had a one-night stand with the family friend, and Mr. Hodges was there to comfort her. They talked for a week or so and then started dating.
Miss Blevins, I understand that you are the one who pushed your son to open this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
And why did you do that?
Because I knew that she had been cheating on him. He had caught her with another guy that she said was a friend, but yet he was hidden in her house when my son got there.
This case gets even worse. Apparently, Ms. Willard's mom helped her child hide another man in the bedroom when Mr. Hodges came over. And she'd done this while Mr. Hodges and Ms. Willard were engaged to be married. This means that Ms. Willard was sleeping around with other men while she was engaged to be married to Mr. Hodges. But it gets even worse. While Mr. Hodges and Ms. Willard got engaged, she hid the fact that she was still married to another man from him. So Mr. Hodges had been engaged to a married woman.
So you were engaged to Mr. Hodges, but you were married to another guy at the time?
Yes, Your Honor.
I feel like he has been deceived and took advantage of.
What was your first impression when you met Ms. Willard? What did you think?
I thought she was sneaky. She always kept her phone on her. She never let him get a hold of it. And when she was on it and he would come around, she would hide it.
Ms. Willard must think she's the smartest woman in the world to think she can cheat on 2 men at the same time while planning to enter a marriage with one of them. She didn't get away with doing that because you simply don't get away with lies like that. And on top of that, this other guy was at the hospital when Ms. Willard gave birth. To make things even worse, Ms. Willard didn't tell Mr. Hodges that she had other children before Lillian Willard, the child in question.
So, Mr. Hodges, take me to the day you found out Miss Willard was pregnant.
She called me and she said that she was 8 months pregnant, and
8 months?
yes, later on down the road, I'm sitting there texting her every day, asking about the baby, seeing if the doctor's appointments are going well and everything.
This is just way too much lying, and most of the lies are obviously outlandish lies that Ms. Willard could never gotten away with. Yet, she continued with those lies without a care in the world.
Ms. Hodges writes to Ms. Willard, "How's the baby doing?" Ms. Willard says she's okay, her lungs aren't fully developed right now. And then you write, "And when is she due?" That was on May 27th at 8:25 a.m. And Lillian was born on what day?
May the 23rd.
We can't even keep up with the lies at this point. Why is she telling so many lies? What's wrong? What does she have to say for herself?
So what is this about breaking up a marriage? You'd already told him you were pregnant.
Because I was with the other guy and I had been living with him for a while, and I thought I was going to keep living with him, but we broke up.
And this is the other man that was at the hospital when Lillian was born?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell this other man that he was Lillian's biological father?
No, I did not.
But Ms. Willard is also lying here. Her mother tells the court that she'd also wanted to do a DNA test on the other guy to know if he was the father of her baby or not. But she'd already told the court that she always knew he wasn't. Now she's telling the court that she didn't have the DNA test on the other guy done because she believes her child looks just like Mr. Hodges. Yes, that would be her 1-month-old child. Do you even believe that?
Did you ever test the other guy, the one that said, "I want the DNA test"?
No, Your Honor.
But if another guy says, "I want a DNA test because I think this could be my baby," then that says to me, you might be lying about whether or not he could potentially be the father.
Okay, Your Honor, he actually would do anything to be with my daughter.
If Ms. Willard has been telling so many lies, why should we believe her now? There's no reason to take her side in this matter. Now let's get down to it. Why is Ms. Willard telling so many lies?
You do tell all of the lies you tell?
You may be honest with you. He's married, and I just wanted a family.
You can take your time, because I knew something was on your heart, because you're out there just spinning.
I've never seen her in all her time for dating guys.
Despite all of her lies, we do feel some sympathy for Ms. Willard. Her mother seems to be encouraging all her excesses, and this is just a young woman looking for love and family and using everything she has, including lies, to get it. Now it's time to get to the final question. Is baby Lillian the biological daughter of Mr. Hodges? Let's find out.
Mr. Hodges, you are the father. We have the answer we needed. And it was actually the answer all of you wanted. You okay, honey?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I want to meet with you both in my chambers.
Mr. Avent here thinks he's not the father of his ex-fiancee's 13-month-old daughter, Jamitya. Mr. Avent really wants Jamitya to be his daughter, but he now knows that his ex-fiancee, Ms. Hatton, wasn't totally faithful to him during their relationship, and he may not be the father of her kid. However, Ms. Hatton says she's 100% positive that he's the father.
When Miss Hatton told me she was pregnant, I asked her then, "Are you sure?"
No, he did not.
I did too.
He didn't.
She stated yes. Who else would it be? Me and Miss Hatton eventually moved in together, and when we was living together, I started hearing stuff that it may not be mine. There's a possibility it could be somebody
Not
else's.
true.
And I've heard this personally from her family.
Mr. Avent also found messages in Miss Hatton's phone where she was still talking to her ex and telling him that Jamitya was his daughter. And Miss Hatton was doing all of this while they lived under the same roof. When Mr. Avent questioned her, she asked why he was worried since they sleep together every night.
And what's the truth as it...
When it came up to me being pregnant, I lived with my aunt. Jamal came over that day because we took multiple tests to figure out, okay, I am pregnant.
This other guy, was he in the picture?
No, he wasn't in the picture. He was around asking about the baby. Are you guys gonna let me come and actually go to the doctor since this is a possibility that I could be the father of her?
Ms. Hatton says Mr. Avent was the first person she told she was pregnant, and she does not doubt that he's the biological father of her baby. However, Mr. Avent started to doubt that he was the father when Miss Hatton's family started telling him about Miss Hatton's shady behavior.
Conceived Jamitya. What date?
In October, around like the 13th. It was weeks before my birthday because he said that he wanted me to spend my birthday with him.
And so you think you conceived on October 13th?
Yes.
For the sperm to reach the
Not
eggs
the
to
exact
fertilize,
day, not October 13th, the
it
exact
takes
day.
a total of 7 days to conceive.
Okay.
Now, we are trying to calculate the due dates to see if everything lines up, but it's really not lining up as Mr. Avent is saying that Miss Hatton's labor came early, and she was due to give birth later than she eventually did.
First of all, this evidence you presented is the birth certificate.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And she was born on the 16th of July.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your proof.
Yes.
The conception date matches the due date.
Yes, Your Honor.
If we look at your calendar, Mr. Avant, you think that her revised due date was still the 25th.
Let's be honest, Ms. Hatton is pretty convincing, and if she's lying, it's going to be a dumb one because it's literally paternity court. The DNA results will be here in 10 minutes. What's the point of lying just to get egg on your face?
But if you had a doubt, why sign?
Exactly. Why sign the birth certificate? Why did you get her name tattooed on you? Why have you been here this whole time? In the beginning,
Because
Your
I've
Honor,
been
I told him
connected
from
to
day one.
Jamitya.
If he felt
It's
like it
not
wasn't
about-
his, he didn't
now
have
it's
to
not
be
about
there.
me and Miss Hatton. It's about Jamitya.
It is.
I've been in Jamitya's life before she was born.
It's clear that Mr. Avent loves Jamitya very much, and perhaps he would be glad to confirm that he's her biological dad. But the evidence that proves that he's not her father just seems way too convincing.
So you see this photo on Instagram, it's
doesn't
getting a
see
lot of likes, and it's the baby you have signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
It's
And
your
another
child, your legal child,
Yes.
whether or not it's your biological child or not.
Yes.
You're looking at your baby, Jamitya,
Yes.
and another man,
Yes, Your Honor.
and he's saying, what do you think about my baby?
Yes,
No,
Your Honor.
that
It's hard not to sympathize with Mr. Avent here. If another man is taking a picture with your baby and calling themselves her father, you would get really angry too. In fact, you might start doubting if you were the baby's father.
He posting a picture of my baby and him side by side, and he's done nothing for her. This is not a funny situation to me. I'm already having problems with is you and your ex saying that it might be his. Now it's another dude, and he got a picture, and they look similar. I can't deny it.
they
If you look at the
nothing
picture,
alike.
from the cheekbones to the nose, even people that commented,
You really cannot argue with Mr. Avent here. He's making some really strong points that are hard to ignore.
No, I
the other dude who's supposed to be the dad. How do I know this? Because I heard it from the cow's mouth himself. He called me and said this.
No, that is not true. That is definitely not true.
And said
So you
she
didn't
brought
take the
me.
child to see?
No, I did not take her to see him.
But Ms. Hatton has one more piece of evidence to prove that Mr. Avent is Jamitya's dad.
Jamitya look just alike. I have evidence here to show that they look just alike.
Let me see that evidence.
From the way that they smile, they have the same dimples, everything.
This is a
Their
picture
hairline
of what?
was
Please
just
tell
alike.
me, Miss Hatton.
Of Mr. Avant and Jamethia. They look exactly alike, overall everything.
All of this looks convincing, but if it turns out that Mr. Avant isn't the father of this child, Ms. Hatton is going to look very bad for going through all of this and making all these arguments based on a clear lie. Now let's look at the DNA results.
Mr. Avant, you are not Jamethia's father. I'm very sorry, Mr. Avant.
Nah, man, it's not all right.
I don't want to see you cry. I don't want to see you hurt, nothing like that. We both knew that this
Yeah,
could
we spoke
possibly
about
be
this,
it.
but the truth is, though, at the same time, you kept saying,
Ms. Parker believes her boyfriend, Mr. Brown, is the father of her baby. However, Mr. Brown says that's impossible since he only met her 6 months before she gave birth. If those calculations are right, then Mr. Brown can't be the father. However, the question is, are the calculations correct or Mr. Brown is just lying?
Mr. Brown, you say you stepped up when Malachi was born, but began to have paternity doubts because of Miss Parker's scandalous behavior.
Yes, Your Honor.
In addition to the paternity test, you've countersued for a lie detector test to prove the extent of her cheating.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Parker, on the other hand, said she felt she needed to be free because Mr. Brown wouldn't let her have friends. She felt like she couldn't do anything, so she just decided to disappear. And throughout this period, Mr. Brown had no idea where Ms. Parker was.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
Well, Your Honor, I got pregnant around his 25th birthday, and I told him I was pregnant. He didn't believe because it was a $1 pregnancy test. So I went to Grady Memorial Hospital and I confirmed I was pregnant. So I called him on the phone. He had a few minutes to talk.
When Mr. Brown got the pregnancy test, he was happy, and at that moment he believed that the child was really his. Everything was great with the world, but there were certain hiccups.
So you couldn't bring yourself to sign the birth certificate because you knew you had a doubt.
Yes.
What was that doubt based on?
Then the dates, they're not adding up.
You said the dates are not adding up? What about the dates didn't add up?
Well, like she said, she got pregnant during June. The baby was born in January.
Ms. Parker says this isn't an issue because she had a premature baby, but it's already pretty obvious to us that she's lying here. If they met on June 1st and she found out that she was pregnant on June 4th, the baby can't belong to Mr. Brown. Ms. Parker should have known this, and she probably knew this, before coming to court.
So your testimony is that he was born early.
Yes,
very
Your Honor.
early.
Yes, he was born
Okay,
very
but
early.
that still doesn't matter about the dates because he was born early.
What you mean? Yes, it does. I had high blood pressure and I had heart problems.
Okay, but
Okay,
still.
what?
It means to be premature, right?
The dates doesn't matter. You're still the father.
The dates don't matter.
What you mean? It doesn't matter.
Again, Mr. Brown is right here. It's simply impossible for him to be the father if he met her on the 1st of June and she was pregnant by the 4th.
You're admitting that in the month,
I told Mr.
the month
Brown.
right before
Correct.
you met Mr. Brown,
Correct.
you were also intimate with
Yes,
another.
I was honest with Mr. Brown from the beginning. I told Mr. Brown that it could possibly be the other man baby. But
Possibly.
unfortunately, Mr.
But it's mine,
Brown,
though, now.
Mr. Brown, I know it's Mr. Brown because he's been there since.
Now, Ms. Parker is saying that it's certainly Mr. Brown's baby because the baby looks like him. But this is a 6-month-old child. He doesn't really look like anyone. And even if he did, that's still not a DNA test. Ms. Parker has now called a witness to testify on her behalf.
Day, Mr. Parker, what do you know about this situation?
I know the situation is obvious that he has trust issues, he has insecurity problems. Obviously, a blind man can see that that's his child. I mean, look at the baby, look at him. I mean, it's just crazy. Like I don't even know why we're here today.
Yeah, why are you here?
Why are you here? I mean, obviously, you know that's your baby.
This is all really insane. It's pretty obvious that this isn't Mr. Brown's baby. Yet Ms. Parker and her brother are determined to bully him into accepting responsibility for the child. This is despite knowing that the DNA result will come in any minute now and change everything.
So, Ms. Parker, ultimately you're saying that this is pretty much destroying your relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
Yes. Because he's insecure. He always claiming that I'm cheating. I'm always out with
Well, why you
another
always
guy.
running away?
I'm talking. He always claiming
Well,
that I'm
running
with
away.
another guy when I'm not. When I'm with my friends.
But when you run off and then just leave the baby at home with your parents and...
At this point, we all just want to know what the verdict is. The lies are too stupid to follow, and it is time for the judge to nip this in the bud and read the DNA test results.
Mr. Brown, you are not Malachi's father. I'm sorry for you both. I know you wanted a different result. I'm gonna give you both a moment to compose yourselves, and then I'm going to meet you in my chambers.
Mrs. Renfro here is 110% sure that her 6-month-old child belongs to Mr. Toozy. She believes this because she says her child has a rare genetic disease that could only have been passed down to him through Mr. Toozy. Our dear Mr. Toozy, on the other hand, says this is complete nonsense, and the child could have gotten the genetic disorder from anywhere else. Let's see who the stupid liar here is.
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, my baby, he wasn't there. For his surgery, he wasn't there. I've contacted him. I tried to let him know, and there was still nothing, no response, no,
So you're saying, Ms. Renfro, that Mr. Toozy hasn't shown any care, concern about...
He's never even seen my son.
Okay, let's calm down here, Mr. Toozy. There's no way you know if a 6-month-old child looks like you or not. 6-month-olds don't really look like anything most times. Aside from that, saying a kid doesn't look like you is not a DNA test and proves absolutely nothing. Now, Ms. Renfro says she and Mr. Toozy met through mutual friends, and it was purely a sexual relationship.
What happened the day you told him?
He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
I had seen a few text messages from her random ex-boyfriends.
Friends. It wasn't
the
no
dudes
ex.
that she had sex with before, and I know this for a fact.
5 months prior to...
What did the text messages say, sir?
I really don't remember what he said. I just kind of glimpsed.
Okay, Mr. Toozy, that's going to be a hard sell. Now, here are the facts of the matter. Mr. Toozy had sex with Miss Renfro, and he didn't use protection a lot of those times. That means he may be the father. Case closed. Or is it? It turns out Mr. Toozy has some reasons for his stance on this.
But only reason why I said it ain't my baby is because I was with this girl for 5 years, and we was having unprotected sex, and I didn't get her pregnant. And not only that, about 2 years ago, me and my good friend, we had sex and she got pregnant, and she tried claiming the baby was mine, and she got a DNA test, and it wasn't my baby.
Mrs. Renfro believes that her child is Mr. Toozy's because he has an issue with his stomach and was born with something called the Hirschsprung disease. She says the disease is genetic and none of her other children have it, so it must have come from Mr. Toozy. That's great logic, but it somehow isn't a DNA test.
Down the road from anybody in your family. It don't have to be necessarily from you.
What are you feeling in this moment, Riz? Tell me what you're...
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, and he just needs to take responsibility for his child.
Ah, there's the kicker. Mr. Toozy says he doesn't even have a medical condition. If Ms. Renfro is telling a lie, it's an extremely dumb one. If Mr. Toozy doesn't even have this disease in question, why would he accept the child? And now she also says she didn't have sex with anyone before her child was conceived. Dear viewers, remember this part because it will be useful later.
And what testimony can you offer related to the paternity of baby Kendall?
Well, like Danielle said, if that's his dad, I believe her. I don't believe she's a lie. And if there was a possibility, I think she would tell me about it. Mr. Toozy, he's a good guy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's doing this purposely because, like he said, she was texting whatever, texting a guy.
The worst thing you can do on paternity court is tell a lie and then have your witness come on the witness stand and tell the entire court you're a liar. If you do that, you're nothing but a dumb liar, and you will be round out just like Miss Renfro now has been. But wait, it gets worse.
So the truth is, the real testimony is, you did have sex with someone else, at least during the window of time before Kendall was conceived.
It was like a month before.
So Mr. Toozy,
Yes, Your Honor.
what are you thinking right now?
I'm just thinking that how I know for a fact this ain't my kid.
How do you know, though?
Ms. Renfro says the child must belong to Mr. Toozy because she used a condom with this other guy. That's great and all, but condoms have never been 100% effective. Importantly, a medical expert testified that Hirschsprung disease can be inherited, but it can also be a genetic defect that arises independently in a child. Now let's find out what the DNA results say.
Mr. Toozy, you are not the father.
Yes! Oops.
Told you!
Oops. Calm down, Mr.
Calm down.
Toozy. Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am. If he wasn't the father, then yes, ma'am, I know.
Hold on, no. Look, little smart mouth, because you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now. You sat up and wasted everybody else's time.
No, I didn't waste nobody's time.
No, yes, you did. You can run your mouth all you want, but your jig is up.